This is the live podcast with Manuel, living in full expression. Hello and welcome to the live podcast with me, your host, Manuel. Last week, OpenAI sent you an email, which is what they sent to all their users. You probably scanned it, and maybe you caught the headline. Almost certainly, you deleted it and got on with your day. I almost did myself, but something made me to stop. Something made me actually read it, and then read it again, and then go find the source document they were referencing. And what I found, hidden inside the clean, reassuring language of corporate transparency, changed how I will use AI tools forever. So that email was not a privacy update, if you ask me. It was a business model update. And the gap between what OpenAI told you and what their own policy documents actually say is one of the most important things you need to understand about the digital world you are living in right now. So today on the live podcast, we are going to go through that email line by line. We are going to look at what they said and what they didn't say. We are going to look at what a federal court already proved about your deleted conversation. And I'm going to give you 6 specific things you can do starting in the next 10 minutes in order to protect your autonomy. I want to be clear about something before we get started. Everything in today's episode comes directly from OpenAI's own document, their own privacy policy, their own help center, their own court filings, their own blog. I am not speculating. I am not formongering. I am reading what they wrote and helping you understand what it actually means, because you deserve to know what you actually agreeing to, not what their communication team chose to highlight. So if you're ready, let's dive in. All right, let me start first with the actual word OpenAI used in that email. Here's what they said. We are updating our privacy policy to give you more information about what data we collect, how we use it, and how you can control it. Now, this looks clean, reassuring, sounds like they are doing you a favor, right? But here's what that email did not tell you. It did not tell you that your phone number may already be in OpenAI database. Even if you never created a ChatGPT account in your life, because someone you know synced their contacts. It did not tell you that the AI you have been confiding in is now reading the context of your conversation to decide which ads to target you with. It did not tell you that a federal court has already proven in 2025 that your deleted ChatGPT conversations can be legally required, overriding every privacy promise OpenAI made to you. And it did not also tell you that the same company that published a formal policy document explicitly prohibiting manipulation of human autonomy is simultaneously building the infrastructure of the most powerful behavioral advertising engine that has never existed. None of that was in that email. All of it is in their own document. So let's go through it and see the threat to your autonomy. Now let's look at threat number 1 from what I see in that email. And this is the one that hit me hardest. The email said, you can now choose to sync your contacts to see who else is using our services. This is completely optional. That statement is accurate, technically, and it is one of the most misleading things that was communicated. Here's what OpenAI own US privacy policy states in their own exact word. It says OpenAI may process your phone number if someone you know has your phone number saved in their device's address book and chooses to upload their contacts. Did you catch that? I want to read that again. OpenAI may process your phone number if someone you know has your phone number saved in their device's address book and chooses to upload their contacts. So the feature is optional for the person doing the syncing, but it's not optional for you. You do not have a ChatGPT account. You have never agreed to their terms of services. You have never seen their privacy policy. It doesn't matter. The moment one person in your life, a colleague, a family member, an old friend, syncs their contact, your phone number enters OpenAI's servers. They store it in a hashed format. That means a coded form, but it's there already. And then their own policy tells you what happens next. And this is what it says. It says, if any of your contacts aren't yet using our services, we will update you if they sign up later. What does that mean? They are tracking you, building a profile that exists before you ever show up. The Electronic Frontier Foundation, one of the oldest digital rights organizations in the world, has been warning about this exact mechanism for years. It is the same way Facebook built what they call shadow profiles. People who never joined Facebook, never consented, never even knew Facebook existed, yet Facebook had a profile on them. OpenAI has now built the same infrastructure into the most powerful AI platform on earth, and the email called it completely optional. Optional for them, involuntary for you. That's the threat number one. Now let's talk about the advertising system, because this is where it gets genuinely complex. I want to start by being fair to OpenAI, because they have actually been more transparent here than most companies are. From their official help center, here is what they confirmed about how ads work. Ad appears below the end of a response. They are clearly labeled as sponsored. They are visually separated from ChatGPT actual answers. Ads do not influence ChatGPT's answers. They run on separate systems. Advertisers cannot shape or alter the responses you receive. Advertisers only receive aggregate, non-identifying information. Total views, total clicks, nothing personal about you. And here's their US privacy policy ads. We do not share your conversation with ChatGPT, with advertisers, and we never sell your data to advertisers. Every one of those statements is real. Everyone is currently true. And none of them are the most important thing in OpenAI's privacy policy about advertising. But this one is. From their own US privacy policy, verbatim, I'm going to read that to you. It says, we may receive information from advertisers and other data partners, which we use for purposes including to help you measure and improve the effectiveness of ads shown to free and go users on our services. For example, we could receive information about purchases you made from these advertisers. So, listening to this, OpenAI does not sell your data to advertisers. That's true. But advertisers send your purchase data to OpenAI. The data flow is both directions. The brand running ads inside your ChatGPT conversations are simultaneously feeding your transaction history back into OpenAI system. What you buy, when you buy it, and from whom. OpenAI told you what advertisers don't receive from them. They didn't tell you in the email what they receive from advertisers. That omission is not accidental. It is the most significant privacy details in the entire policy update. And it appeared somewhere in the email that hundreds of millions of people received last weekend. Now, here's why this matters in a way that is genuinely new. Facebook built its advertising empire by learning what you'd clicked on, what you liked, what you browsed. OpenAI is building its empire by reading what you say and now knowing what you buy. The combination of intimate conversational context, your real problems, your real fears, your real goals, plus real purchase behavior, feeding a single ad targeting system has no precedent in the history of consumer technology. Think about what you have typed into ChatGPT. I've talked about this in the previous episode. You can go and listen to it if you haven't. Maybe you asked about managing debt. Maybe you asked for help writing a difficult conversation with your partner. Maybe you asked about a health symptom that you weren't ready to bring to the doctor yet. That is the context. And now, what you buy from OpenAI advertising partners feeds back into that context. That is threat number 2. Let's look at threat number 3. And here's the one that surprised me most because it happened quietly in plain sight. In the last few months, OpenAI has launched the following, all confirmed by their own policy document and independent reporting. And it's called the contact syncing. That is to find people you know by phone number, follow and follow back mechanics, where you can follow other ChatGPT users and be notified when they follow you back. Group chats, now supporting up to 20 participants simultaneously. Sora, a separate generative video application, and personalized ad targeting using context from your conversation. Now look at that list again. Contact graph, social following, group conversation, video platform, behavioral advertising. What does that sound like? That is not an AI assistant with a few extra features. That is a social media platform sitting on top of an AI that already knows your innermost thoughts. What you signed up for was a private AI assistant. What you now have is a social media platform that reads your diary, and the email described each of these features individually in neutral language with no suggestion that the combination represents something categorically different from the ChatGPT you originally agreed to use. And that is the threat number 3. Now, let's look at threat number 4. Though it's shorter, but it's important. The email said, use age prediction across our services to help provide safer, more age-appropriate experience for teens. The stated purpose, which is teen safeguarding, is legitimate. It is genuinely important. But read those 2 words carefully. Age prediction, not age verification. Age verification is where you tell the platform how old you are and they record it. Age prediction is where the AI looks at how you write, the questions you ask, the language pattern in your conversation, and makes a judgment about how old you are. So OpenAI did not tell you how old you are. OpenAI looks at your conversation and made a conclusion. And that conclusion is stored, applied across all their services, used to shape what you see, what you're shown, and what content is filtered, what experiences you are given. You are being profiled by an algorithm based on your own words, without your knowledge, without your consent, and with no mechanism available to see or challenge what is decided about you. And that is threat number 4. Let's look at threat number 5. This is the one that I think people will find hardest to accept. So I'm going to give you only the verified facts with the exact sources, which I will also leave in the description. On May 13th, 2025, U.S. Magistrate Judge Honor T. Wang of the Southern District of New York, in the case New York Times versus OpenAI, issued a court order requiring OpenAI to retain and preserve all outpost log data that include conversations that users had explicitly deleted. OpenAI was legally compelled to keep data they had promised to remove. That is verified by Carter Legal, PYMTS, and you can check those places and get this verified information. What this means is that you deleted your conversation. A federal judge said they had to stay anyway. OpenAI appealed. The order ended in September 2025, and standard deletion practices resumed. But here's what did not end. The conversation from April to September 2025 that were retained under that law. OpenAI confirmed on their own blog they will securely store limited historical April through September 2025 users' data at the plaintiff's request. So if you use ChatGPT during that period, including conversations you deleted, a record was kept. And then in November 2025, a court required OpenAI to produce 20 million de-identified chat logs to the New York Times plaintiffs. Your conversations, stripped of identifying details but real, became evidence in a legal case. Here is the forward-looking reality. OpenAI US privacy policy states that personal data may be disclosed in the process and transferred to a successor or affiliate in the event of major acquisition or similar corporate transaction. A court order can happen again in any future litigation. There is no permanent legal mechanism protecting your ChatGPT conversation from a court order retention. OpenAI's deletion promise are real until a judge says otherwise. You thought you were having private conversation. A federal court ruled that those conversations were discoverable evidence. Okay, let's look at threat number 6. This last one is the most uncomfortable truth in today's episode because it comes entirely from OpenAI themselves. OpenAI model spec, published December 2025, states in their own words, and I'm going to read that to you. We will not allow our models to be used for targeted or scaled exclusion, manipulation, and for undermining human autonomy or eroding participation in civic processes. That is remarkable commitment, right? It is published. It is official. It is the stated ethical foundation of how OpenAI says their AI will be used. Now, hold that commitment against what they have built. They have built an advertising system that uses context from private conversation to target you with ads, fueled by purchase data flowing back from advertisers, a social media graph constructed from contact books, uploaded without the knowledge of the people in them, an age prediction system that profiles you without your declaration or consent, a data retention history where court orders can and do override deletion promises, and a platform projecting $25 billion in advertising revenue by 2029 under the financial pressure of $415 billion in projected cumulative losses. I am not saying ChatGPT is violating their model spec today. I'm not saying they are acting in bad faith. What I'm saying, based entirely on their own verified documents, is that the infrastructure they have built creates real structural pressure on a commitment they themselves made publicly. So the promise is documented, the financial pressure is real, the tension between the two belong to you to watch and to make decisions based on them. All right, so you've been patient enough and you've listened to me list the 6 threats which I see from the mail you received last weekend. Let's talk about what you can actually do starting in the next 10 minutes. And these are going to just be 6 quick actions. Each one takes under 5 minutes to carry out. Together, they fundamentally will change your relationship with these platforms. Number 1, revoke contact access from your phone setting right now. This is the single most important thing you can do today. Go to your phone's system setting, not ChatGPT in-app settings, your actual phone setting. Find ChatGPT under app permission. Set contact to never. If you have already granted access, revoking it stops ChatGPT from continuing to process your contact going forward. Action step number 2, turn off model training. So go to ChatGPT settings. From the settings, locate data control and disable improve the model for everyone. When this is on, your conversation may be used to train future AI models. Turning it off removes your conversation from that process. Step action number 3, check your plan. OpenAI Help Center confirms this clearly. They said Plus, Pro, Enterprise, Business, and Education plans have no ads and are not subject to the ads targeting system we discussed earlier. So if you're on the free or the Go plan, you are the product. The $20 per month Plus plan is the clearest protection currently available. So if you use ChatGPT for client work, business strategy, financial planning, or personal matters, that $20 may be the most important thing you spend this month. Action plan number 4, use temporary chat for anything sensitive. OpenAI confirmed that temporary chat conversations are deleted within approximately 30 days and are not used to show ads. So make this your default mode for anything you wouldn't want retained. So make it a habit, not a last resort. Okay, so let's look at number 5. You need to turn off ad personalization. So go to ChatGPT setting, go to ad controls, and disable personalized ads. This doesn't remove ad entirely if you're on a free plan, but it stops them from being targeted based on the specific context of your conversation. Number 6 is to submit a data access request. Just visit privacy.openai.com and under GDPR, CPPA, and similar frameworks, you are entitled to know exactly what data OpenAI holds on you. If your phone number has been processed via someone else's contact sync without your consent, you can request it to be removed there. Now, you see, these 6 steps would just take 10 minutes total for you to do. Your digital autonomy meaningfully protected. And while we are here are the 3 things you must not do. Number 1 is don't sync your contacts and don't let your team sync theirs either. Every person in your phone book who hasn't consented to being in OpenAI system is affected by your choice. So if you manage a contact database at work, do not sync it. You could be uploading other people's personal data without their knowledge, which may carry real legal exposure under GDPR, CPPA, and similar laws. Number 2, don't treat today's ad policy as a permanent guarantee. Everything OpenAI states today about ads not influencing answers, advertisers not receiving your data, all of it is true today. It is not a legally binding, immutable promise. The company is projecting $14 billion in losses this year. So watch the openai.com/policies. They update without email alerts. Don't share sensitive business information in free to ChatGPT. Every conversation on the free or the Go plan is now part of your advertising profile. If you wouldn't put it in a document you hand to an advertiser, then don't type it into a free tier chat. All right, let's bring this home in closing. The email OpenAI sent to you last weekend was not a privacy update. Based on my own assessment of it, it was a business model update, framed in a language of transparency, sent to hundreds of millions of people who trusted them enough not to read the fine print. So here's what it actually announced in plain language. Your phone numbers can enter their systems without your consent, confirmed by their own policy. Number 2 is that your conversations are the context for a sophisticated behavioral advertising system, which is also confirmed by their own help center. Number 3 is advertisers are feeding your purchase behavior back into that system. This is also confirmed by their own US privacy policy in their own words. And then the big one, a federal court proved that deleted conversations can be legally compelled to stay, confirmed by court record and OpenAI's own blog. And the company that published a formal commitment against manipulation is projecting 25 billion in ad revenue by 2029, carrying a 115 billion in projected cumulative losses. None of this means you should stop using ChatGPT. It remains one of the most powerful tools available to you right now. I use it myself, and our community uses it as well. That doesn't change, but it does mean you should stop using it naively. The AI you have been trusting with your most private thinking is now building a very large, very sophisticated business around the value of that thinking. And you deserve to know that. You deserve to decide what to do with it. So go do these 6 steps that I shared with you right now before the end of this episode or immediately after this episode. You can put your phone on a pause, go into your settings and start with step 1, revoke the contact sync. If it's not available on your phone right now or your region right now, when it is available, ensure you revoke it. The 5 minutes you spend on that are worth more to your digital autonomy than anything else you would do today. And then, one more thing. Share this episode with one person whose privacy matters to you. Because if you have their numbers in your phone, you just learned you have more influence over their data than they know. This is because knowledge shared is protection multiplied. This has been the live podcast with me, your host, Manuel. And until next time, stay intentional, protect your autonomy, and keep living in full expression. All right, so because of what we have been experiencing so far, it's very important I draw this home by saying that ChatGPT is a powerful tool. However, we must understand, like every other technology, there's always a downside to it. And that is the essence of this episode today, to bring your attention to those other side. While these tools are very powerful and have been so helpful to us, it's very important that we understand that there is also a downside to it and don't just get carried away by the better things we enjoy using these tools. Because the moment we understand the downside and be able to balance this, it gives us an opportunity to use these tools effectively and not be drawn into a point where we lose our autonomy as humans. And so that's the essence. And that's why I'm making this emphasis on this podcast to encourage you while you use these tools to also be very, very careful and to know the boundary of how you use it and not use it naively. Thank you.